Sydney Rose, and it's my first video since my surgery, and surgeries went well, recovery's going well, and I'm excited to get back to normal content for you guys. My first video back filming regularly since I've had surgery. Recovery's still doing good. That video went up last week, and I'm excited to get back to regular scheduled programming. It's going to be more art focused video. Today I'm going to be showing you guys and testing the difference between the Meeden watercolor kit and the Koi watercolor kit. Meeden sent me their watercolor kit a couple months ago, and I made a TikTok about it. I will put that right here where I did test the difference between these two, but I want to make a long form video because on that one I did a split. This time I'm going to do two whole separate pieces, but like the same idea. I'm probably just going to draw one thing and then transfer it, so I'll have the exact same thing, and that way you guys can see the difference in a full art piece rather than just a half and half on a paper. I'll probably explain that weird, but you'll see what I'm talking about. Get to it. I'm going to try Meeden first.
Okay, and before I get to the actual painting, I want to give you all some information about both brands of watercolors. First, I'll start with Meeden Art Supplies, since that will be the palette I start with first in this video. Meeden Art Supplies reached out to me back in December to make some videos on my TikTok promoting some of their products. Included in these products was their 48 color watercolor palette. I was really excited about this opportunity because I was able to test their art supplies for free. The watercolor palette I'm using in this video is that palette, and it's typically priced around $50, but at the time of filming this, they are running a sale on TikTok Shop for $31.95. I tried to research on whether or not Meeden is a watercolor palette based on dye or pigment, and the results seemed to be mixed, and I couldn't find a concrete result. So now for the Koi watercolor palette. I have been using this palette since my junior year of college, and it has been my ride or die watercolor palette. If you remember, I started taking my YouTube career more seriously around August of last year, and I finally updated my study abroad videos I made during my study abroad in France from 2022. This class was a travel watercolor class, and this is where I started to really enjoy watercolor and painting in general. At the time, I bought my Koi watercolor palette at Hobby Lobby for around $50, but during my research it seems that you can get most Koi watercolor kits for around $20 to $30. Koi is a pigment-based watercolor palette, and is the one I used in the video today is the same one I used in France, and it has 24 colors versus the 48 that the Meeden one has. I will definitely have all of the links to these products in my description, and with that, let's get on to the painting. First, I had to find my inspiration for the painting since I was going to have to paint it twice. I started by looking up some watercolor paintings for inspo. I've been really into painting portraits lately, but I was not sure if I wanted to go that route this time. I played around with the idea of doing flowers or maybe a girl in water since it was watercolor after all, but I settled on doing a picture I took of my friend Maddie in Jordan. And you might actually remember this picture if you watched my vlog about Maddie's birthday, because this was actually the thumbnail picture. So I started by printing the photograph off for reference since I was filming a time-lapse with my phone. I drew the picture off camera and just went straight in with the watercolor. Normally when I do watercolor, I like to outline the drawing with a black Sharpie first. I did this in my painting with human blood video since the painting with blood was very similar to watercolor, but I did it with a red Sharpie instead to match the color of the blood. This time I decided against this because I wanted the painting to look more realistic and without an outline, but I quickly noticed this becoming an issue because I was losing my guiding lines under the watercolor. Meeden watercolor is very thick, and you have to add a lot more water to get a sheer look if that's what you're going for. The colors definitely pop and are very vibrant opaque, which is gorgeous, but regardless, the Meeden watercolor takes a bit more water to blend. So I had to work with it more, especially on the shadows with the skin, but it definitely has that watercolor look, so I didn't feel like the blending necessarily had to be perfect. Either way, I did take much more time on the skin in the painting than I did with the clothes, because the shadows in the clothes were not as difficult to blend the colors since the color range was much smaller than the color range in the skin in this particular photo. A plus to this is that you don't have to use multiple layers to get the darks of shadows like you do with other watercolor palettes, and that really saved me some time on this painting. For this painting specifically, I chose to focus on drawing just my friends rather than the background of the store the picture was taken in. and I decided on an orange background. Right away, I was not really feeling how this color looked with the rest of the painting. This particular orange just did not go well with the other colors and how muted they appeared to be against the almost neon orange. So I tried to cover it with blue, the complementary color to orange, to try and tame how bright it was. However, I just feel like it ended up looking like the background was on fire, and I was not really happy with the results at all. So in my last ditch effort, I decided to go back over with a Sharpie to see if I could bring out some of those lines, but even that didn't satisfy me. I don't feel like I executed this painting very well, and I'm so sorry, Maddie, but in the first one I made you look very creepy rather than silly as the original picture was. So here's my fail of the first attempt of painting with the Meeden watercolor palette, but I couldn't let this be the painting that represented the palette, so I decided to start over and try again. This time I decided to stick with what I know, and I went over my pencil drawing with a black Sharpie. This way I would not lose my guiding lines like I did with the first painting. This is actually a technique I learned in my travel watercolor class in France, and even though I did not really go over that technique in those videos and they were more about the experience, you should still go check them out. I think it's really cool how much my video editing and voiceover skills have improved since then. If you do go back and watch them, don't judge me on how much more cringe I used to be versus my cringe now. In this video, I'm actually using a script, so that actually helps too. This second attempt, I still had the same issues with blending I had in the first one, but for the background this time, I went with a light blue to pull in the blue from Jordan's bag, and it overall just flowed with the colors better instead of being a heavy contrast like the orange was in the failed attempt. And onto the Koi watercolor palette. Like I mentioned before, I've been using the Koi watercolor since my junior year in college, so I'm much more comfortable using it. However, using it directly after the Meeden palette, I did notice a lot more differences than I originally thought there would have been. With the Koi palette, the colors were much more sheer, and so the exact opposite of the Meeden palette. It took a lot more layers to build up the thickness of the paint, but due to this, the watercolor was much easier to blend and does not require as much water to do so. I do not have as many colors in the Koi palette, so I did have to do a lot more mixing with this. I had to layer a lot more to get the shadows as dark as they needed to be, but this was fine for me because of how seamlessly they blended into the highlights. Just like the Meeden palette, I did take more time on the skin due to the range of colors and spent less time on the clothes and the backgrounds. I tried to color match as best as I could, but there are still definitely discrepancies on both paintings from the original. Overall, I definitely like both palettes in different ways, and depending on the look of the painting I want to create will determine which palette I use in the future, and I can always mix and match them when the painting requires it.
Okay, both paintings are officially done. So this is a Meeden and this is the Koi. I'm still letting, you can tell, the Koi dry because I just finished. And now I'm going to go back over this one in Sharpie, but I'm probably not going to time-lapse that because it'll be a while. Give some of the more details back in the eyes, and then I will do that to this one when it's dry, and then I'll cut them out and we'll compare. And without further ado, there's a lot of shadow. It's okay. I'll see if I can fix the lighting. Put a mini ring light so the shadow's not as bad, but which one do you like better? Can you tell which one was the Koi one and which one was the Meeden one? Just kidding, I'm going to tell you. This is our Meeden one. So there's definitely some drawing inconsistencies, but to be perfect with the both drawings, I would have had to just print them out and make them a coloring sheet, not drawing them both. But Meeden, I will definitely say I had a lot more trouble blending the colors, and I'll probably talk about that in my voiceover over the time-lapse as well. But here's the main actual one without a time-lapse and just a regular cinematography of it. It's the Koi, which was harder to get the colors more saturated. I definitely had to layer more, and you can see where I've had to do more of the layers. I wouldn't call myself a professional watercolor painter by no means, but what do you think? Guys, thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know now down in the comments which one's your favorite, if you like the Koi watercolor picture better or the Meeden watercolor picture better, and we'll let Maddie and Jordan decide which one they like better for their gift, because obviously I've got two, so they both can have one. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like the video, you know, all the things that all the YouTubers say, and yeah, have a great day, and I will see you guys next Thursday. Bye!
Thank you again for watching the video. You can find the official photographs of these paintings on my Instagram at @HeyIt'sSydneyRose, so check those out and give me a follow while you're over there. And with that, I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will see you all next Thursday. Bye!